The man stepped into Judge Judy's courtroom dressed like someone who believed the world existed to serve him. His custom Italian suit looked like it belonged on the cover of a luxury magazine, perfectly tailored down to the last stitch. A diamond-studded watch worth more than most homes glimmered beneath the courtroom lights every time he moved his wrist. Even his shoes, handmade from rare leather and polished to perfection, announced wealth with every step across the courtroom floor. Daniel Wellington III carried himself with the arrogance of a man who had spent his entire life buying outcomes. Billionaire hedge fund owner, private jets, mansions across 3 continents, more money than entire towns would see in generations. And now he was standing in court because he had shoved his 67-year-old housekeeper down a staircase after she asked to be paid the wages he owed her. Maria Gonzalez had worked for Daniel for 8 years. 8 years of loyalty, silence, and service. But after 3 months without a paycheck, she finally gathered the courage to ask for the $18,000 she had earned. That request ended with her lying broken at the bottom of a marble staircase. When paramedics arrived at Daniel's penthouse, Maria was bleeding and crying in pain while Daniel stood nearby complaining about incompetent employees. And when police officers attempted to investigate, he offered them cash to make the entire situation disappear. He truly believed money could erase violence. Even during his arrest, Daniel laughed like the entire process was beneath him. He joked about paying bail with his credit card and asked his attorneys how much it would cost to handle the judge overseeing the case. But there was one thing Daniel Wellington had never understood. Judge Judy had spent decades dealing with wealthy men who thought their money placed them above accountability. And she had never once been impressed. What Daniel didn't realize was that one sentence, just one arrogant sentence spoken in that courtroom, would destroy everything he had spent his life building. Monday morning, Los Angeles Superior Court. The courtroom buzzed with whispers before the hearing even began. Reporters filled the back rows. Spectators leaned forward in anticipation. Rumors about the billionaire defendant had already spread across the city. Then the bailiff announced the case. The people of California versus Daniel David Wellington III. Daniel entered the room as if he owned it. 5 expensive attorneys surrounded him like bodyguards. His watch sparkled under the lights. His expression carried the casual confidence of someone who believed consequences only existed for ordinary people. Judge Judy looked up from the bench. "Good morning, Mr. Wellington." Daniel barely acknowledged her. "Morning," he replied lazily while staring at his phone. The disrespect immediately changed the atmosphere. Judge Judy's eyes sharpened. "Put the phone away and address this court properly." Daniel sighed dramatically before slipping the phone into his pocket. "Fine, Your Honor." The sarcasm in his voice made people shift uncomfortably in their seats. Judge Judy had seen arrogance before. But something about Daniel felt colder, crueler. She reviewed the file calmly. "Mr. Wellington, you are charged with felony assault causing serious bodily injury, wage theft, obstruction, and attempted bribery of police officers. The complaint alleges that you pushed your housekeeper down a staircase, causing severe injuries after refusing to pay her wages. How do you plead?" Daniel smirked. "With respect, Your Honor, this entire thing is being exaggerated. It's a simple employment dispute." A ripple of disbelief spread through the courtroom. Judge Judy stared at him. "You hospitalized a woman." "She fell," Daniel replied casually. "I was discussing performance concerns with her and she lost her balance." "Performance concerns?" Judge Judy asked. "She was asking for 3 months of unpaid wages." Daniel leaned back confidently. "I compensate my employees very well when they perform properly." Maria's work quality had declined. "I was evaluating whether to continue employing her. So instead of paying her," Judge Judy said coldly, "you pushed her down the stairs." Daniel actually laughed. "I didn't push anyone. And honestly, $18,000 means nothing to me. I spend more than that on wine every month." The courtroom went silent. Judge Judy's expression hardened. "Your wine budget is irrelevant." "I'm simply explaining context," Daniel replied smugly. "I employ dozens of people. I understand labor management far better than most people in this room. And yet you apparently don't understand basic decency." Judge Judy shot back. For the first time, Daniel's smile faded slightly. Maria Gonzalez sat quietly in the gallery with her arm in a cast. Tears rolled down her face as she listened to the man who injured her dismiss her suffering like an inconvenience. Daniel never once looked at her. Not once. Judge Judy folded her hands. "Mr. Wellington, your penthouse has extensive security systems, correct?" Daniel shifted in his chair. "Yes, good," Judge Judy replied. "Let's watch the footage." A flicker of nervousness crossed Daniel's face. His attorneys exchanged worried glances. Still, he remained confident. Because men like Daniel spent their lives believing they could talk their way out of anything. The courtroom monitors lit up. Security footage filled the screens. The timestamp showed a Tuesday afternoon inside Daniel's luxury Manhattan penthouse. Marble floors stretched across the room. Expensive artwork lined the walls. Wealth covered every inch of the screen. Then Maria appeared, small, nervous, fragile. She approached Daniel carefully while wringing her hands. "Mr. Wellington, I'm sorry to bother you, but I haven't been paid in 3 months. I really need my paycheck. My granddaughter needs medicine." Daniel never looked up from his laptop. We already discussed this, he replied coldly. Your performance has been unacceptable, but sir, Maria said softly, I've worked every day. You owe me $18,000. Daniel slammed his laptop shut. You want to talk about contracts? He snapped. You broke a $40,000 vase. You ruined dinners. You forgot my imported water repeatedly. Maria stepped backward fearfully. I apologized, sir. I just need my wages. Daniel stood up and towered over her. You need? He repeated angrily. Do you understand who you're speaking to? I could replace you in an hour. Maria's voice trembled. My grandson needs his inhaler. Your family is not my problem, Daniel interrupted viciously. Your poverty is not my concern. The courtroom sat frozen as the footage continued. Maria backed closer to the staircase, then she quietly said the words that changed everything. If you don't pay me, I'll contact the labor board. Daniel's face twisted instantly, pure rage. You'll do no such thing, he screamed. Then it happened. The footage showed it clearly, from multiple angles. Impossible to deny. Daniel grabbed Maria by both shoulders and shoved her violently backward. Gasps erupted inside the courtroom as Maria lost her footing and tumbled down the marble staircase, step after step, her body crashing against stone. The sounds echoed horribly through the speakers. By the time she reached the bottom, her body lay twisted unnaturally across the floor. People in the courtroom covered their mouths in horror. Maria cried out in agony. Daniel never moved to help her. Instead, he shouted from the top of the stairs. This is what happens when people threaten me. The room fell into stunned silence. Maria begged for help. Daniel ignored her and began making phone calls about damage control. 5 full minutes passed before anyone called paramedics. 5 minutes. When emergency responders arrived, Daniel calmly told them she was clumsy, and when police officers began questioning him, he pulled out stacks of cash. Here's $50,000 each, he told them. Call it appreciation and mark this as an accident. The officers arrested him immediately. The video ended. Silence swallowed the courtroom. Maria sobbed quietly in the gallery. Daniel checked his expensive watch like he was bored. Judge Judy looked directly at him. We just watched you assault an elderly woman and attempt to bribe police officers. What exactly do you think your defense is? Daniel straightened his tie calmly. That footage lacks context. Judge Judy's voice turned ice cold. Context? In my world, Daniel replied arrogantly. Situations like this are handled differently, quietly, efficiently, through proper channels. You pushed a 67-year-old woman down the stairs. It was minimal contact during a heated conversation. She has a broken hip. Daniel remained completely emotionless. Your Honor, I manage a $40 billion hedge fund. I employ thousands indirectly. I sit on hospital boards and university committees. People like me contribute more to society in a week than most people do in a lifetime. Judge Judy stared at him in disbelief. And you think that excuses violence? I think, Daniel replied carefully, that people at my level operate under different realities. That sentence changed everything. Judge Judy leaned forward. Mr. Wellington, I'm prepared to issue penalties that will teach you the difference between power and accountability. Daniel's expression darkened. Before you do something reckless, he said slowly, you should understand who I know. The courtroom stiffened instantly. Judge Judy's voice became razor sharp. Are you threatening this court? I'm reminding you. Daniel replied, that I have influence, politicians, judges, powerful people. I donate millions every election cycle. Judge Judy stood up. So your strategy is intimidation? Daniel rose from his seat too. You have no idea who you're dealing with, he shouted. I could destroy your career with one phone call. The courtroom exploded with chaos. People gasped. His own attorneys looked horrified. Daniel pointed directly at Judge Judy. You'll regret embarrassing me. I own people like you. Bailiff, Judge Judy ordered instantly. 3 bailiffs rushed toward Daniel as he continued screaming threats about his wealth and connections. Even restrained, he kept shouting. The courtroom finally quieted. Judge Judy stood silently for several moments before speaking. Mr. Wellington, she said calmly, in 4 decades on this bench, I have never witnessed this level of arrogance and cruelty. Daniel's face slowly lost color. You assaulted an elderly woman, you stole her wages, you attempted to bribe law enforcement officers, and now you've threatened a sitting judge. She paused. Here's your sentence. The room held its breath. For felony assault causing serious bodily injury, 2 years in state prison and a $50,000 fine. Daniel's eyes widened. For wage theft and damages, $180,000 payable to Maria Gonzalez plus full medical compensation. His confidence cracked visibly. For attempted bribery, an additional year in prison and another $100,000 in fines. Daniel looked frozen. Judge Judy continued. And for contempt of court due to your threats and behavior in this courtroom, $500,000 in fines and 2 more years in prison. The billionaire who had entered the courtroom believing he controlled everything now looked completely shattered. But Judge Judy wasn't finished. You bragged about your influence over judges and politicians, she said. So I'm making certain every federal agency in this country sees exactly who you are. Daniel's breathing became uneven. I am forwarding all evidence from this proceeding to the FBI, the SEC, the IRS Criminal Division, federal prosecutors, financial regulators, and every organization connected to your business operations. Daniel's voice finally trembled. You can't do that. Oh yes, Judge Judy replied coldly. I can. The bailiff stepped forward to escort him away. At that exact moment, Daniel's phone began vibrating uncontrollably inside his pocket. Board members, investors, executives, news alerts, his empire collapsing in real time. Within hours, billions were withdrawn from his hedge fund. By sunrise, Daniel Wellington III was no longer a billionaire CEO. He was inmate number 847392, and for the first time in his life, no amount of money could save him from the consequences of his own actions.